Welcome, and we'd like to call the meeting of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners to order. We will be led in prayer by Commissioner Turner, and also tonight it's his turn to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Stand and pray. Father God, it's good to be here again tonight, Lord, and we're thankful for the opportunity that has been afforded each one of us to represent our constituents, Lord. And I just ask that tonight that we honor you in our words and our dialogues together, that we keep a clear head, Lord, and a cool emotion about ourselves with some of the topics that we're going to be talking about tonight, Lord. I pray for our country. I ask that you, Lord, extend your hand of healing across our country for so many challenges that we face, Lord, across racial divides and socioeconomic divides, Lord. I just ask that you send a spirit of peace upon our country, Lord, that we turn our eyes back to you and we honor you in the way we live our lives and the way we live in our communities. Again, ask that you be with those who are watching from home tonight, Lord. Be with those families who are watching this evening. Bless them. And again, thank you for the opportunity to represent them. I ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Let's face the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer. Here. Commissioner Piercy. Here. Commissioner Jordan. Here. Commissioner P. Here. Commissioner Cook. Here. Commissioner Jernigan. Here. Commissioner Cush. Here. Commissioner Reed. Here. Commissioner Gurley. Here. Commissioner Turner. Here. Commissioner Allen. Here. Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson. Here. Commissioner Baum. Here. Commissioner Nipper. Here. Commissioner Dodd. Here. Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner McAdoo. Here. Commissioner Kaplan. Commissioner Gooch. Here. Commissioner Sereno. Here. We have 20 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, you have before you, I believe, a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. Do we have a motion considering their approval? Commissioner Phillips.
Mayor Burgess, I've had an opportunity to review those minutes, quite lengthy, I might add. I find them in order and move for their approval.
All right, do we have a second? Commissioner Cook and others. Did anyone have any additions or corrections? If not, then all of you in favor of that, please say aye. Likewise, any opposed? All right, thank you very much. First, we have a resolution of sympathy on behalf of Coach Donnie Carter, and Commissioner Allen will come forward and give us that resolution, please.
I'd like to invite Miss Cindy and Steve and Sasha and their boys to come up, please. If Brad and Robert would come up, and then Mike Cush, because I know if there's anyone else, any other commissioner that I've overlooked where Donnie has touched your lives or the life of your family, you're welcome to join us, but we just all want to stand in honor of him. I don't know how many of you know Donnie Carter, but in Smyrna, Donnie Carter's name is synonymous with football. I don't know that he ever owned a stitch of clothing that was not purple or gold. I never saw him in one. His love and his passion for football and youth and just our community is just unmatched. You know, there are very few times in your life that you're going to meet a legend, and he was. So he'll greatly be missed, but he's got a terrific legacy. You should be really proud. Whereas the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners should recognize and celebrate those individuals who make a profound impact on the people and communities of Rutherford County. And whereas Coach Donnie Carter of Smyrna is one such outstanding person, and whereas Mr. Carter passed away on March 13th, 2015, he was an active deacon at Miracle Baptist Church. He was a 1964 graduate of Smyrna High School, and he proudly served his country as a member of the United States Army. He was married to Miss Cindy Carter for 46 years, with whom he had 3 sons, DJ, wife Michelle, Lee, wife Malia, Steve, wife Sasha, and 7 grandchildren, all who reside in Smyrna. Upon returning from the Army, Mr. Carter formed his first youth football team, which led to the start of the Smyrna Youth Football League, which is regarded as one of the premier youth sports programs in the state. Smyrna Youth Football League routinely registers over 500 players and cheerleaders annually. Mr. Carter enjoyed being the statistical records keeper for Smyrna High School for many years. His lifelong love of the game has touched and shaped the lives of many young men, where his motto was well known: "I'm going to teach you a little about football and a lot about life." Whereas he was a recipient of the Kenneth Coon Victory Lifetime Achievement Award and honored with the dedication of the Donnie Carter football field at the Lee Victory Recreation Park, and Mr. Carter's legendary style of controlled and disciplined leadership has characterized his extraordinary achievements and has distinguished him in ways that reflect favorably and positively upon Rutherford County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that this legislative body extends this resolution of sympathy to the family of Coach Donnie Carter for his outstanding commitment to excellence in youth sports and for his dedication to decades of young people in Smyrna. Be it further resolved that the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners extends its deepest sympathy to Mr. Carter's family and conveys to them our sincere appreciation for his lifetime of volunteerism. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second by Commissioner Turner, Schaefer, Stevens, and others. Everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you, the family.
I want to thank you for honoring Donnie. He was a Christian man. He loved children. He loved sports. His love, like he said, was football. 46 years. And thank you so much.
Thank you. We do appreciate that. And these kind of men are just what makes Rutherford County great and wonderful. So thank you very much. Okay. We don't have anyone requesting to make public comments tonight. Therefore, we're ready to move to our consent agenda. And we're going to call on Commissioner Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess. I've looked at this consent agenda, and without anyone having a recommendation to remove any of these agenda items, I move that it be approved, with one special note, if you don't mind. In all probability, it would be a good idea, at least I think it would, be a good idea to maybe remove when we fill a vacancy on a board, so that we can announce that individual that the steering committee recommended, and to also announce openings on the board separately, so that the public may have the opportunity to know that those openings exist. So unless anyone objects, maybe next month we'll have any vacancies that we're filling removed from the consent agenda, and also when we announce vacancies, we'll remove that from the consent agenda and allow the steering committee to make those announcements, if that's okay. And tonight we have a vacancy that we need to fill, and that's a commissioner vacancy on the insurance committee, and I say that with a smile on my face because I've been there and done that, and it's quite a chore and quite a job. We also have 2 vacancies on the community care board and a vacancy on the Linebaugh Library board, and with no other move to remove an item, I move for their approval.
Right, and we need a second, Commissioner Jordan. All right. Everyone in favor of that, then please say aye. Aye. Now, we have to, again, you have to remind me, maybe I get this right, we're going to have a roll call votes. Thank you. Just as I almost finished that, I remembered that, so thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second, so please cast your votes, please.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes, please.
20 yes, motion passes.
Right, the next item we have tonight is the election of our notaries, and we need a motion to approve those notaries. So, Ms. Cook, do we have a second? Mr. Sereno? All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the notaries, and we'd like to recognize Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is on the list of applicants this month, so I would ask that the record reflect that I will be abstaining from this vote.
All right. So now you see that the need for having this as a separate item for tonight. Anyone else have any comments before we vote on this? All in favor of electing the notaries, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, thank you very much. That carried. There is no unfinished business that we have before us, so we're ready to have the reports by our standing committees, and we'll call on Commissioner Jordan for our Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee.
Good evening. Got a long agenda tonight. First one's item K1A, resolution authorizing $100 million industrial revenue bond for the Industrial Development Board. Whereas at their meeting on March 16, 2015, the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County adopted a resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $100 million of industrial revenue bond for the constructing, equipping, and new manufacturing and distribution facility at Nissan North America, for the manufacture of automotive parts to be supplied to the existing auto planning facility in Smyrna. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and appropriate officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee, be and are hereby authorized to execute all necessary documents for the issuance of industrial revenue bonds for up to $100 million in accordance with a resolution duly adopted by the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County, Tennessee, a copy of the same being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim. Resolved this 14th day of May, 2015. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
And second, Commissioner Schaefer. Now, does anyone have any questions or discussion? Commissioner Dodd.
Yes, sir. Just a reminder, please. Is the county liable in any way for this $100 million bond?
We're just a conduit. We've got a couple of experts in the audience we could bring up if you want to, but there's no liability for the county. This is just as all the others in the past. Am I speaking correctly? Yeah, they're nodding yes.
That's correct. Any other questions? All right, then, you're ready to vote. Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes, please.
20 yes, motion passes.
Thank you.
Item K1B, approval of Energy Efficient Schools Initiative Loan Agreement. Whereas the Rutherford County Board of Education desires the Rutherford County Commission to enter into a loan agreement with the Energy Efficient School Council in the amount of $678,384 for a term of 3 years of 1% for 4 years. It says 1%, but it says 0.75.
0.75%.
3/4% to finance monitoring and measurement tools, lighting and engineering costs in various Rutherford County schools related to the energy efficiency program in place. And therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and all other appropriate officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee, be and are hereby authorized to execute all necessary documents with the state of Tennessee Energy Efficiency School Council relative to the loan agreement in the amount of $678,384 for a term of 3/4% for 4 years, a copy of the same being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim for the purposes of financing monitoring and measurement tools, lighting and engineering costs in various county schools related to the energy efficiency programs in place. Resolved this 14th day of May, 2015. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Okay, we have second Commissioner Nipper and others there. Anyone have questions or discussion? If not, then we're ready to vote. Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes, please.
20 yes, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Item K1C, approval of purchase of land for solid waste and vehicle maintenance. Whereas there is a need for a vehicle maintenance facility, a solid waste office, and other supporting operational facilities. And whereas 19 acres of land at the corner of Florence Road and Sanger Road had been found to fit this need. And whereas the purchase price of $1,250,000 had been negotiated subject to a negative finding from a Phase 1 environmental study and confirmation by the county engineer that no part of the property is in the floodplain, floodway, or wetland. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and all other appropriate officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee, be and are hereby authorized to execute for and on behalf of Rutherford County the appropriate documents to purchase the property at the corner of Florence Road and Sanger Road upon a negative finding from a Phase 1 environmental study and confirmation by the county engineer that no part of the property is in the floodplain, floodway, or wetland for $1,250,000 with funding to come from the 2015 Series A bond issue. Resolved this 14th day of May, 2015. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second, Commissioner Piercy and others there. Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Piercy.
Who is the commissioner in the district this is located in?
I believe Mr. Jordan.
Have you had any complaints or any questions or anything to do anywhere relatively close? We've had a situation like this before.
I remember the one in your district, the city's facilities right across the street. There's not really a residential house for a good little ways, a subdivision on down the train tracks little ways, and haven't had a single person say a word about it. And with it being bounded by the train tracks, the mulching facility, and some vacant farmland, there's one church across the road, and I haven't heard from anybody there, but I think we've got plenty of property, in my opinion, I'm not on property management, to be able to buffer it and keep things back off the road and things. So
Sounds
I
good.
think it's a good spot, in my opinion.
All right, any other questions? All right, then, we're ready to vote. Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes, please.
20 yes, motion passes.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving right along here then. There is not a report from the Health and Education Committee, no report from Property Management, no report from Public Safety, no report from Public Works and Planning. Now we're ready to hear a report from our Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee, Commissioner Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. Steering has three reports for your consideration this evening. The first one is a resolution to recommend an attorney to support the Ethics Committee. Whereas, Mr. Chair, an ethics complaint has been filed against Sheriff Robert Arnold, and whereas the Ethics Committee needs legal representation to advise and represent the committee in appropriate action to be taken with respect to the complaint filed against Sheriff Arnold and such other remaining relating thereto, and whereas Attorney John T. Bobo in the law firm of Bobo, Hunt, White, and Nancy has preliminarily consented to represent the Ethics Committee, and whereas Attorney John T. Bobo has served as county attorney for Bedford County as outside counsel for more than 20 years, and his firm has likewise represented Giles County, Marshall County, and Moore County in county matters. Now therefore be it resolved that Attorney John T. Bobo and the law firm of Bobo, Hunt, White, and Nancy be authorized to represent the Ethics Committee in matters pertaining to the ethics complaint filed against Sheriff Robert Arnold. Be it further resolved, the law firm and Attorney John T. Bobo will advise the Ethics Committee if anyone other than the members of the Ethics Committee contact them concerning ethics complaint, unless said contact is at the request of the attorneys in the representation of the Ethics Committee, and legal work the attorneys perform for and on behalf of the Ethics Committee, and that the attorneys be paid at the present hourly rate of the county attorney. Resolve this the 14th day of May 2015. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second. Commissioner P. Anyone have any questions or discussion? Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there a cap on how much we can spend on this before we have to come back and ask for more money? Okay. And I would like to point out to the commission, the members who weren't at the steering committee meeting, that this attorney does not represent all of us. This attorney is only going to represent the ethics committee. So the rest of us have no business contacting this attorney. And in fact, anyone who does contact the attorney who's not on the ethics committee will be reported to the ethics committee as someone who tried to call and get information or whatnot. We want to be sure that this process is above board without any kind of impropriety whatsoever. We don't need anybody to monkey around with it so that it's completely independent. And one more observation, I did some brief research on the private act for the county attorney, and it says that Rutherford County may enter into such additional written agreements with private attorneys and law firms for the provision of additional legal services as the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners may deem appropriate. And we were told at steering that, and I know our contract with the county attorney says that the mayor and the county attorney have to consent, but that's not what the private act says. And I think the private act, the law, is going to be what governs the situation and not the contract. So for our steering committee, I think that we need to go back and look at amending our legal services agreement with Mr. Cope to be sure that it complies with this section of the private act that we have. I think it's very important that the commission be in complete control of who represents us or our committees in a dispute. We don't want to contract that away. It's like an insurance company telling you which doctor you can go see. So I would just like to point that out, that the private act does say that the final decision's with the Board of Commissioners, and that anybody that's hired from outside seems to be our decision only. And I just would like to point that out.
We respect your opinion, but that can be discussed more fully at the steering committee if you choose to pursue that. Okay, are there any other questions or discussion? If not, we're ready to vote. So we're just going to do this by roll call vote. Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes, please.
20 yes, motion passes.
You?
Second item is a resolution to recommend an attorney to provide software legal support. Whereas, Mr. Chair, the county presently has pending contractual matters and issues involving contracts with Pictometry on behalf of Rutherford County Property Assessor and Computer-Aided Dispatch, TriTech, requiring particular and unique expertise with regard to the subject matter of the contracts, which necessitates the utilization of outside counsel. And whereas the county mayor and county attorney concur that the particular matters are suitable for handling by the outside expertise of the Pennsylvania law firm of Carroll and Carragillian, LLP. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor, with the approval and consent of the county attorney, recommends the employment of the firm Carroll and Carragillian, LLP, to be paid in accordance with agreed-upon rates established by the county mayor with the firm of Carroll and Carragillian, LLP. It is further resolved that the mayor be and is hereby authorized to employ and pay the law firm of Carroll and Carragillian, LLP, as the county mayor represents, that sufficient funds are budgeted and available for the employment of Carroll and Carragillian, LLP, in these pending matters. Resolved this 14th day of May, 2015. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Phillips, a second. Questions? All right, then, we're ready to vote. Again, as a matter of just being consistent, we will please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes, please.
20 yes, motion passes.
You?
And the last item is a resolution to submit to the General Assembly when they convene in 2016 the private Chapter 47 and private Chapter 59 to correctly state District 1 and 5 and swap the same. Whereas, Mr. Chair, it has been determined District 1 and 5 were inadvertently incorrectly placed in Private Chapter 47 and Private Chapter 59 of the Private Acts of Rutherford County when adopted. Now therefore be it resolved, the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners requests the legislature amend Private Chapter 47 and Private Chapter 59 of the Private Acts of Rutherford County to correctly state District 1 and District 5 by swapping the same. Be it further resolved that the county clerk be and hereby is directed to send a certified copy of the resolution to the Rutherford County Legislative Delegation when the same convenes in 2016, requesting that appropriate legislation be enacted to correct the error identified above. Resolved this the 14th day of May 2015. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second, Commissioner Johnson. Did anyone have any questions? All right, all of you in favor of that then, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Let that be reflected. It was unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner Gooch. All right, we're down to any other business, and at this point, we have placed on the agenda an executive session, an attorney-client executive session with respect to the Circuit Court Clerk's new software system. We thought it important that we share with you the status and give you an update on sort of what has taken place over the course of the last several months, actually. So those of you in the audience will have to be excused. You may return when we're finished with this executive session. So everyone needs to leave that does not have a direct interest in this, and that really means everybody except our commissioners and our attorney and me, I suppose.
Yes, sir, we're up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We're back live after having an attorney-client executive session. We're going to let Mr. Cope just give a brief summary of our discussions, and then we'll continue.
Mr. Mayor, last fall we addressed a situation involving a contract dispute with the New Dawn Company relative to a software program involving our Circuit Court Clerk's office. And tonight I have updated the Commission on where we are in that process and where we likely will be going forward. I've answered questions from the Commissioners about the status of the dispute and the legal issues that are involved in that. Thank you.
All right, is there any other business? Mr. Jordan and then Mr. Baum.
Well, I don't usually get to do this, but this Saturday, the Bethel United Methodist Church in the heart of Leanna out on Sulphur Springs Road is having a pancake breakfast and silent auction. And so anybody that wants to come support the church, come out. I think it's from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11, something like that. But Bethel United Methodist Church, May the 16th, Sulphur Springs Road. Come get some good breakfast.
Mr. Charlie Baum.
Thank you. I've had a couple of constituents of mine ask me to relay just a little bit of information to the County Commission, and this concerns the proposed new judicial building, and in particular, its exterior appearance, its facade. I've had really a surprisingly large number of people from my district comment to me about the proposed appearance of the building, and a couple of lawyers and judges that don't live in my district have contacted me, and they've asked, a few of them have asked me to share a couple of comments about the appearance, and so I thought I'd summarize these briefly. One is that it doesn't currently look like a judicial building. It's not very traditional looking. It doesn't blend with the historic downtown. I think some of the features these folks would like it to have is to look more traditional, maybe to blend more with the downtown area, maybe to include some arches or gables. I've heard no flat roof. And they've asked me to relay these comments to the Commission, and so I agreed to do so. I decided to also investigate a little bit myself, and so I went to the PBA meeting last week, and I discovered that some of the PBA committee members are suggesting some of these same things to our architects at Gresham Smith. They have very politely asked for some of these same alterations. And my paraphrasing of the architect's response was essentially, he doesn't want to do that. Now, to be fair, he did acknowledge that he's going to tinker with the sort of the outline, the white outline of what looks to be a cube or a box that sort of sits above the flat roof, above the flat roof line. So I do think there will be perhaps some changes to that. But basically, these constituents have asked me to relay that information to you. Now, I realize that when we talk about this proposed judicial building, some of the most important issues are its functionality and what it costs. And to talk about its facade seems like it's not as important of an issue. And I understand that and I agree with that. And at the same time, while we're considering spending maybe $70 million on a building, I think it'd be nice if we took the time to make sure it looks appropriate and looks the best it can. So now I've relayed some comments that my constituents have made. I'm going to add a petition of my own. I would like to ask the PBA and the architects to consider putting a drawing of a relatively traditional judicial building side by side the proposed one, the one that the architect favors, and just compare the advantages and disadvantages of both. Look at them side by side to see which one would seem to fit in better with our historic downtown. I think there could be a difference in cost. When you change the facade, it could cost a different amount. The PBA should consider cost differences as well. One member on the PBA has very eloquently explained how a more traditional-looking judicial building would actually cost less. And I'm going to leave the arguments that he has made for you to find out more about on your own, because he's made some very clear and convincing points. So I guess what I want to close with is just the petition for us to take the time to get the exterior of this building looking appropriate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those comments. I'm going to have to make a response. I think I have a duty to do so. We've had substantial number of meetings, and they have done more than just tinker. They have made substantial substantive changes. They've iterated. We're in the third iteration already. And you have to look at the whole concept of this. We have a design review committee, 13 people on that design review committee. We've had 3 or more meetings. Well, they've been more meetings than that, but at least 3 or more that have talked about the design of the exterior. That whole group has given consent to the design as we currently have, in view of the fact that, yes, there are still some iterations hopefully to come. Iterations may not stop for months even now, but that group of folks, and Mr. McAdoo is on that group. He's been at every one of those meetings. Not all of the 13 members have been there every time, but most of them have been there. And they either have said it's okay or we like it. Now, the PBA members have, some of them have been there at most of all of these design review committee meetings as well. And they have initiated comment and discussion, and they've made good suggestions, still making good suggestions at the meeting that you attended there as well. But their group voted to send this schematic design on for cost estimates to be prepared, in view of the fact that, yes, there's still maybe going to be some continued improvements. So I haven't had a groundswell of folks calling me about this. I've had 2 emails, and I know exactly who have made some of these comments. I've had extensive discussions with them. So we're open-minded about this. And I don't think, your request for us to ask the PBA, this would be a complete redesign to address not having a flat roof, try to put some gables and arches. You didn't mention columns, but we have a 6-story building here that's huge. There's no way for us to accommodate columns that look like a 2 or 3-story traditional courthouse. This is a massive building, comparatively speaking, to what's built in typical county courthouses. All that to say, we have a reasonably sound consensus of folks that have given their consent along with their suggestions, which have been listened to. And we're not finished listening with those suggestions, I don't believe either. But I think a complete rewrite to make it look like something that someone has yet to tell us what it is, except they want some gables. They don't want a flat roof. The flat roof is completely impractical. I mean, a gable roof would be impractical for a building this size, and we're going to add weight, we're going to add substantial cost. We're going to have to, we've got all of the equipment that's going to go up there to support the cooling and heating, et cetera. That has been discussed. So all I can say is, Mr. Baum, we will continue this journey. We're going to have to let them go ahead and price this. If we want to stop the process and take 2 or 3 more months to redesign this and come back, we can do that. But we're going to miss every window of opportunity to have a successful project if we're not careful here. So I want to work with all of you guys. We want to find some ways to continue this journey together of making it look just like we think it should look. And here's a statement that I've made to one of our vocal folks that have said they don't like the way this looks. The mind will see what it wants to see. Now, to some of us, this doesn't look good. To some of us, it looks extremely good. And some of you have built a house with your wife, and you've had to make decisions. And what looks good to you may not look good to her. I think most of us have experienced that. We've got a building right now that has large number of traditional elements in its design. You just have to look at the whole picture. And some point toward traditional elements, some point toward the future. Okay, I said more than I really should have even said. Mr. Dodd and then Mr. Jordan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Baum, I too had substantial feedback from constituents and other acquaintances who are opposed to the design as it appeared in the paper. And I took it upon myself to pursue the subject as well. One thing that I have seen other views, the only view we saw in the paper was from the plaza from the side. I've seen views from the other perspectives that raised my comfort level dramatically, that actually incorporate some more traditional elements. So I just wanted to share that with you. I think the mayor has some renderings from other perspectives that change everything. Also, I think that the tower, the white box on top, is going to be one of the things that PBA is going to consider continuing to tweak, and that is a particularly offensive element. And the last thing I'll share is, someone said that this building will incorporate some traditional elements, but point to the future. I thought that was a good way to put it, because indeed this is pointing to the future. We hope this building will be there for 100 plus years in a usable fashion, and I think we're going to get there. I appreciate your comments, and I share them as well, but my comfort level has risen. Please take it upon yourselves to look at those other renderings, and perhaps, Mr. Mayor, if we can conceive of a way to get these other perspectives to the public that might soften some of the negative views thus far.
If we haven't already done it, we'll put all of those elevations on the SharePoint. Mr. Jordan?
Well, I didn't want much. I just wanted to say I appreciate Commissioner Baum's conveying what his constituents said, but 4 or 5 constituents in one district, isn't that big of that many people. There are 21 of us up here, and not one of us has the authority to do anything, to speak of. So unless you want to make a motion and get 11 people on board, then I say PBA just move along, because any one of us could have an objection to anything, but my opinion doesn't count unless I can convince 10 of you to go along with me and stuff. And I haven't had anybody tell me that they didn't like it. That a lot of them don't like the $74 million, but then nobody say anything about the looks of it. So I would just say the PBA is doing a good job until 11 commissioners unite on a motion. They just need to keep on going and move forward, in my opinion. And I don't mean any disrespect for Charlie, because he's just passing on what he had some phone calls or people reach out to him about.
Any other comments? Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 things real quick. One, I'm speaking both as a commissioner and as a proud dad, too, at the same time. Tomorrow, at David Urey Elementary in Smyrna off of Todd Lane, we're going to be having a ribbon cutting ceremony for the special needs pavilion where special needs students can actually access the building. If some of you recall, and I know Health and Ed, thank you to Chairman Allen on our committee, I was able to bring forward some concerns for me, obviously for my daughter, but for some other parents too, the way that the school was constructed, the special needs students in wheelchairs and some that were mobile and some that were immobile, when they were outside and it was raining, they had no protection to get into the building, so their parents would have to drop them off in the rain in their wheelchairs, try to figure out how to get them in and keep them protected. To their credit, Mr. Clardy, Mr. Odom, Mr. Sandbig, all the individuals that represent our school board at Health and Ed, as soon as I brought that concern up, they jumped to it and started to address it immediately. And I know that Mr. Luker, the principal at David Urey, had actually requested some assistance on building that the previous year or the previous 2 years, and they answered that bell. And so tomorrow we're going to have a little bit of refreshments. We're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony at 8:30 in the morning at David Urey Elementary. I completely understand work schedules. I just wanted to share that publicly. But I also want to let you know that I'm continuing to challenge the school board to make sure that they address that across all of the county schools, not just David Urey, because I think it kind of flipped a light switch for them that they might want to look at that at other schools too. Understandably, I think we all have a passion for our community and our schools, but when you're a dad, that passion runs a little bit deeper about what you're doing for your own child, and recognizing that I've been placed in a unique position as a special needs parent. I want to make sure that I honor that type of dedication to them too, and I know that Chairman Allen's supporting that effort, and so is everyone on the Health and Education Committee. So I thank the commission as a commissioner for supporting Smyrna with that effort, but also, more importantly, as a dad, for helping those types of children that sometimes we forget about when design structures are built and accessibility issues. Thank you for voting for that. The second thing is, I'm going to see a lot of heads duck here because mine was one of them. The videos that we were tasked with a few months ago, filming for the IT department with Lee and for Brian, there's still 8 or 10 commissioners that have not done that yet. They've asked that if we could just stop by upstairs for maybe 3 minutes tops to do their interviews really quick. I've got a list here if you haven't done it. Obviously, I'm not going to call anybody out. I was one of them, so that's why I'm comfortable saying I had to apologize to them because I should have done it 2 months ago. They've just asked that we go upstairs if we can after the commission meeting is done and film our videos, and then they should be done and be able to move forward with their project. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Allen.
This is not a fish fry, and this is not a pancake breakfast, but it should still be pretty fun. The Friends of the Smyrna Library have launched a fundraising campaign to redo the interior of the library. And so it just so happens that one of our fellow commissioners is sharing his birthday with their fundraising efforts. And so if you're so inclined, on May 19th, you can join Commissioner Stevens and his friends and the Friends of the Smyrna Library at the Smyrna Skate Center for an 80s party. He doesn't want any gifts. You may give abusive cards, and you may give a donation. So that's at 6:30 on May 19th. I have to tell you, he is turning 30, and I will be married 30 years next year. So,
Anyone else have any other business? All right, if not, then we are adjourned.